Well, my initial reaction is probably a common cliche that I was shocked. I was shocked to be nominated, much less to actually be selected. I know that I was nominated and selected because of my work in sort of disability rights as a generic term. And, you know, I've really been removed from that for 4.5 or 5 years, so it's not like I'm still in the midst of that. And sometimes you wonder if people forget about you, but fortunately, somebody remembered me, even though I'm basically living in a life of relative obscurity, which is also a good thing to do. I think the contributions that I'm most proud of are, I've been at this a long time, and I've been disabled for 40 plus years. And it's nice to see the changes that have occurred over the years. When I was first hurt and got out of the hospital, came back to Alton, there were no curb cuts, there were no accessible buildings, there was no parking. So it's nice to have been a part of being involved as a leader in making our community, not just Alton, but all the communities around, much more welcoming and accessible. Well, there are a lot of levels of volunteerism. You know, you might want to volunteer to answer the phones, which is an important job. Now, if I volunteered to answer the phones, it'd be a disaster because I don't know how to put somebody on hold, so I would have a big learning curve. But I think you either have to be willing to learn the skills, or it has to be something that you're already familiar with. So I think volunteering, you really have to be committed as though you were a paid employee, and committed to the mission of the organization, and really being reliable. I came out of the hospital in 1968. I'm really aging myself here, but I was only 22 at the time. And fortunately, Southern Illinois University at Edwardsville was developing and was basically an accessible campus. So had SIUE not been there, I don't know what would have happened to me. But it was accessible to the point that I could get around. It wasn't perfect, but I could get around, and I managed to get through college and get an undergraduate and graduate degree and pursue working. You know, my first job was in St. Louis, and I worked and lived in St. Louis for 10 years. And I'm just glad I made that decision to be productive and to not depend on the government. If you have to depend on the government for living, that's fine. But I didn't think I had to, and I thought I owed it to myself to take on the challenge of trying to live a productive life. And I think what that's brought to me is a very meaningful life. And I sort of judge my life not by how fast I can run or how far I can walk, but how meaningful my life is.
Cool. Shot.